Everything about YouTube advertising is changing. This is the big change coming, and you need to learn about this change if you're serious about making money with YouTube ads. YouTube is eliminating the main skippable InStream ad format. That's the type of ad you're seeing behind me right now. They're also eliminating the video discovery ad format. Those are the clickable ads that show up in your sidebar or in your newsfeed that you're seeing behind me right now. Both of these main formats are being eliminated. They're being replaced by what's called responsive ads. Responsive ads are a new YouTube ad format that could show in either video discovery or InStream form. This is a huge change. In my opinion, the biggest change to ever come to YouTube advertising. And fortunately, you came to the right place to learn about it. My agency has obsessed about responsive ads the last couple months. We've really put a lot of time into planning this transition, and we've figured out some things that are working real well for responsive ad campaigns. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a responsive ad campaign, and I'm going to give you some unique tips and tricks that we've used in our agency to make our clients' campaigns profitable. Okay, so let me give you a little bit more details about this change. So there isn't really any new type of YouTube ad that the consumer will see as a result of this change. This is mainly a change in how you're going to be managing your ads from the advertiser's side. Now, there were two major types of YouTube advertising campaigns in the past: InStream campaigns like you're seeing here, and then the video discovery campaigns like you're seeing here. And usually these were two very different types of campaigns. The biggest difference is with InStream campaigns, the only thing the person sees is the video itself. With video discovery campaigns, they see a thumbnail image and ad copy. If they don't click on that thumbnail image and the ad copy, they never see your ad. So thumbnails and ad copy were very important for video discovery campaigns. Now, I've talked about the difference between video discovery and InStream a lot in my book. In addition to the thumbnail and ad copy, there's another major difference. When somebody watches an InStream ad on YouTube, they're given the option to skip within 5 seconds. When somebody clicked on a video discovery ad, our tests have shown they have a lot longer attention span. You're still going to catch their attention within 10 or 15 seconds, but if they voluntarily chose to watch the ad, a different type of creative will usually work. And I've recommended different types of what I called skip stoppers for InStream and for video discovery ads. Now, that's all going away. You don't know if the person's going to see your ad and have the option to skip in 5 seconds. You don't know if they're going to see the thumbnail. You don't know if they're going to see the ad copy. So now you got to learn how to write ads that perform well no matter what format they're shown in. For right now, you can still create some of the legacy campaign formats, but you might notice within Google Ads, you're no longer able to copy and paste InStream or video discovery campaigns. From our conversations with Google Ads reps, we've heard that these are going to be phased out probably around September. So it's pretty soon. The end is near for these kind of campaigns. So if you haven't figured it out yet, you got to start figuring it out. You might only have a month or two left for your legacy format campaigns. So in our agency, we're creating only responsive campaigns going forward to prepare for this change. That's what I recommend you do as well. I've been through many of these Google Ads changes, many major updates in the past, not as big as this one, but I've always learned that if you get ahead of the change, you can learn how to make it work for you. The advertisers that get hurt by the change are the ones that wait to the last minute to start learning the new format, who try to hang on to the legacy format, and who don't adapt to the new changes. So you don't want to be that. Start making all responsive campaigns starting today. So first, I'll walk you through the mechanics of how to create a responsive campaign, exactly what to click on to get everything set up. Next, I'm going to give you 3 of my best tips to make these responsive campaigns profitable. All right, so we're in Google Ads. I'm here in the example account, totally blank new account, exactly what you'll see when you make a new Google Ads account. So let's walk through how to make these responsive video ad campaigns. You're going to click on the plus right here, then click on New Campaign. Create a campaign without a goals guidance because we are advanced, and then click on Video Campaign. You get a bunch of different options here. The correct option to choose is Drive Conversions. Always drive conversions. Now we're in the campaign setup screen. I'm going to give my campaign a name. Then I'm going to choose a bid strategy. Probably the best bid strategy to use is going to be target CPA. That's almost always what I use in my clients' campaigns. I'll choose a CPA for the conversion that I'm targeting. Let's say if this was a lead and I know I on average make $5 per lead, I might target a CPA of $3 or $4. So I'll put in the $4 CPA just for this example. I put in my daily budget. Let's say at most I want to spend $50 a day, so I put in that for my budget. Then I go into these networks. Now, we've experimented a little bit with this. We don't have conclusive results yet, but our test data shows so far that it is better to exclude video partners on the display network for these responsive campaigns. Again, we're still experimenting with this, and if you have a successful campaign running on YouTube only, you might still want to experiment with the display network. But especially if you're first getting started with these, if these are your first few responsive YouTube ad campaigns, exclude the display network. To do that, uncheck the checkbox, just like I've done right now. You notice you cannot uncheck YouTube videos and YouTube search results. It has to show in those formats. Next, locations. I put in a bunch of locations here where I usually show my ads. You can put in your own locations where you show your ads. Languages, if you're watching this in English, chances are your business is advertising in English. You want to put in English here, or the language that your ad is in. Next, inventory type. As some of you guys know, I always recommend expanded inventory. Google takes a very strict definition of what expanded inventory is. It's still pretty strict. There's a lot of things excluded. There won't be any horror, gore, or super bad things that your ads are shown against. And this will usually get you conversions at a lower cost. So you choose expanded inventory. Excluded types and labels. You can see content not yet labeled is excluded by default. I uncheck that checkbox because I want to show my ads on content not yet labeled. Now, there's a few different options here for site link extensions and product feed. You can dive deeper into those if you're an advanced advertiser, but most people will not need to use those options. So that's pretty much it to set up these campaigns. I'll just go into additional settings here. Just one more thing I need to think about is the frequency cap. You notice it says frequency capping here. By default, it says none. Again, this is something that we've experimented with pretty extensively, and from what we found so far, usually for most clients, they get the best results with 1 impression per user per day. I'm going to go in and put that frequency cap on. I click cap impression frequency, enter 1, and when this drop down, I can use per day, per week, or per month, and I do per day. Because we're advanced, we skip the ad group and the ad creation, skip that. And that's it. I got my empty campaign. Now, after this, you need to create your ad group and create your ad. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Now, you notice when you're creating your ad group, here's where you have the option to either select the radio button for standard ads, InStream ads, or responsive ads. You always want to choose responsive ads. Don't get stuck making these legacy campaigns, which may just be disabled or transition to responsive a month or 2 from now. Get ahead of this change and start making only responsive campaigns. So I'll name my ad group. Now in here, I'll choose my targeting. So you notice in here, you have the option for optimized targeting, and this is something that you'll have the option to turn off later. For now though, it's only on. So this is something that we're experimenting with as well. We turned it off in some ad groups and turned it on in some other ad groups. I recommend starting with it off in most of your ad groups just to start off with, and then turning it on once you have a few things working. It'll spend a little bit more aggressively, but optimized targeting will probably get you more sales too. And in the long run, optimized sales will probably get you more sales at the same CPA as your regular campaign. In the short term though, it might cost you a little bit more. So in the long run, that's good, but be a little conservative with that when you're first starting off. Now I can put in my targeting. And this is where it gets a little bit more tricky. Now, you have the same targeting options as you do in any other campaign. Putting in the targeting in terms of the mechanics is exactly the same. But in my experience, these types of campaigns run a little bit more broadly than standard InStream campaigns. What I mean by that is for any given targeting in any given bid, you will probably spend more money, you'll probably get more customers, but you're gonna spend more to get those customers. So what I've noticed has worked the best for these type of responsive campaigns is more granular targeting than the client usually uses. So what I've noticed that works the best for these types of campaigns is more granular targeting than what the client usually uses. So let's say, for example, you're usually using custom audiences, or you're using affinity audiences or demographics. You might want to think about keywords or custom intent audiences or placements, individual YouTube videos or channels, or just generally getting more granular in your targeting than you usually do in InStream campaigns. All right, so I'm going to choose placements, one of the most granular forms of targeting. My products are about entrepreneurship, so I'll put that in here. Search here. Now click into YouTube channels. And I see there's a whole bunch of different entrepreneurship channels that might be good customers for my products. Now, if I was really doing this, what I would do is I would check out these channels, see which ones might really be the best. I'm familiar with these all though, and I know that a really great one is gonna be Entrepreneur Magazine right here. So I'm gonna target Entrepreneur Magazine. Because I'm advanced, I will skip the ad creation. You should too because you're advanced. And I save the ad group. Now I go into the ad group. And I make my ad. So I click on create ad here. And then I put in my YouTube video. You could just go to your channel and get this video. I find the best way to organize things is in a spreadsheet if you have a whole bunch of ads. So I got my ads in a spreadsheet here. I'll click in here, and then I'll paste in the URL of my video. So you can see that's the video that I put in. I also have a bunch of URLs that I want to drive these people to. I'll paste in the URL for the right page. And then a call to action and a headline. So the call to action will be the text that actually appears on the button on the ad. The headline will appear right above the button. So the call to action for me will be watch now to watch my webinar. Just put that in right there. And then the headline will be learn YT, standing for YouTube ads. The long headline will be the headline that shows up in the video discovery ad formats. This is the headline people see in the sidebar or in the news feed. Now, it's important to know that sometimes this may be truncated to 25 characters. So you want to make sure within the first 25 characters, you get in the good message, and then you extend it out for people that might see the ad beyond that. So now I'm going to type in a good headline. Okay, so here's my headline and here's my description. One simple YouTube ad trick. This is 25 characters long. This will show up for everybody, guaranteed. For the people seeing it in the news feed or the formats where they could see more, I added in how I drove over 12 million in sales from simple YouTube ads. My description, here's how Dan Rose drove over 212 million in sales from simple YouTube ads. That might not be seen by a lot of people. In fact, by most people, it won't be seen. But in YouTube search and the other formats where that's visible, that's something that they will see. Okay, next you'll be given the option to have an auto-generated call to action or to upload an image. Now, I always recommend uploading a custom image. If you use the auto-generated call to action, it'll just be your channel banner. Channel banners are designed to be bigger. Most likely they won't be able to see or read what's in the channel banner when it's in that tiny ad format, especially on mobile. So always upload your own image that's specific to the ad you're showing. So you can choose a file, or I'm going to select an already uploaded image. I'll select this one that I already uploaded here. I'll give my ad a name. Then I'll save it. And that's it. Those are your mechanics for how to create a responsive ad campaign. Now you know what to click on to make those types of campaigns. Let's talk about how to make these campaigns profitable. All right, so my first tip to make these campaigns profitable is to start putting a lot of attention and a lot of work into your thumbnail image and your ad copy, especially your thumbnail image. Now, I'm really excited about this change because this is how I got started with YouTube ads back in 2010 when there was only video discovery ads. I essentially became an expert in thumbnail images that make you click on them, headlines that make you click and then trust the ad message later. I spent a lot of time studying video discovery ads, so I have a significant advantage. Now, I talked about this a lot in my book. I devoted multiple chapters to video discovery, teaching you how to write ad copy, teaching you how to make thumbnail images. Now, unfortunately, right after I released that book, the video discovery format became significantly less important. A lot of advertisers stopped using it altogether, and even in my own campaigns, I started using it a lot less just because InStream became more important. Now, everything is different, and video discovery is important again. You can't go around it. There is no way to exclude it. You can't just show only InStream campaigns. You could for the next month or two, but in the long term, you cannot. You have to use video discovery. That means you have to become an expert on making thumbnail images and writing ad copy. So what that means is that you should be devoting some time towards making these images. You don't have to personally make these images, but you should hire a good designer. You can hire great designers real cheap on Upwork or other websites, and you should be describing in detail what type of thumbnail images they should be making for you. If you're just getting started off, you should be making your own thumbnail images, and review those chapters in my book to know exactly how to make a great thumbnail image. For your ad copy, a lot of people spend a good amount of time writing their ad scripts, but they just make their ad copy for the video discovery ads an afterthought. This is going to be the first thing they see. If they don't like your ad copy, nothing you write in your script, nothing that appears in your video is going to matter. So what I recommend doing is, like we used to do it in the old days, brainstorming a whole bunch of video discovery ad headlines. You don't need to put very much attention into your description because the description very often doesn't show up. When it does show up, it's very small. Most people don't read it. So what you can do for the description is just use one standard description for every responsive ad you create. For the headlines though, it's got to be unique. The best way to come up with headlines is to brainstorm a whole bunch, maybe 10 or 15 different headlines, and then choose the 3 or the 5 best headlines to test. Now, if you're lucky enough to work in a team with multiple different great copywriters like I used to work in, then this could be a team process. One person can brainstorm the headline, another skilled copywriter can choose the best ones. With 2 heads put together, both people agreeing that they're great headlines, then they're probably going to do pretty well. If you're not that fortunate and you're just doing this by yourself, you can still write out 10 or 15, go away for a little while, come back to it with a fresh mind, and choose 3 or 4 that you think are the best to test. This has been a really successful process for me. Now, here's another tip that I have for you. It can be very difficult to tell exactly how much of your traffic is coming from video discovery ads in your responsive campaigns, but there is actually a way to tell: the view rate. If you look at the view rate on your videos and it's over 20%, chances are it's almost all InStream ads. The thumbnail and the copy probably doesn't matter that much for that campaign. On the other hand, if you look at the view rate and it's under 2%, it's probably running almost entirely on video discovery. That's because on video discovery, the view rate is defined as a rate that people click on your ads. It's usually 1 to 2%. Whereas with InStream ads, it's defined as the rate that people watch your ads for at least 30 seconds. That's usually 20 to 30%. So, if you notice that you have campaigns with an extremely low view rate, it's not so much that people are skipping your ads, it means that they're showing up in video discovery. So let's say you have a campaign which is not producing good results. The ad usually produces good results in InStream campaigns, and you notice you have a very low view rate. In that case, you should probably change the thumbnail and test a different thumbnail, change the ad copy, test different ad copy. If you know the video works, but this campaign isn't working, and the campaign has a low view rate, you know the thumbnail and the ad copy are the problem. So change that up and try again. You'll probably get a lot better results. All right, my second tip is to use more granular targeting and lower starting bids. Now, keep in mind that responsive ads are going to show an inventory you previously didn't have access to with your regular YouTube ad campaigns. There's all that sidebar inventory, there's the inventory on the YouTube homepage, inventory on the news feed, inventory across the Google Display Network. You're essentially doubling your reach of these campaigns versus just running InStream ads alone. And that's an important change. Now, the downside of this is that if you use the same targeting, you're probably going to get higher CPAs and lower return on ad spend than what you're used to. But the advantage of this is that if you use more granular, more specific targeting than what you usually do, you'll probably get more traffic and better results overall. So what do I mean by that, more granular and more specific targeting? To understand what I mean by that, you have to understand the targeting ladder. And you can see that on screen behind me right now. The targeting ladder is a strategy that I use to determine what targeting to use in my YouTube advertising campaigns. At the top of the ladder are the most scalable, least granular, least specific forms of targeting. At the bottom are the most granular and the most specific. I always recommend maxing out the most specific forms of targeting before moving up the ladder into broader and broader forms of targeting. Now, let's say, for example, you've mostly used pretty broad forms of targeting like affinity audiences because you run a pretty big business. I would think about, if I was you, running some custom intent audiences or keyword targeted campaigns or placements or something that's farther down the ladder. You'll get more traffic than you think, and you'll probably get a little bit more reach than you think, and you'll probably get a better CPA than if you had used the same targeting options for your InStream campaigns. So start thinking about that. How can you make your campaigns a little bit more granular to compensate for accessing double the ad inventory? All right, my third tip, which I want you to do right now, is to go into your Google Ads account and identify all of your successful InStream campaigns, the ones that are meeting your goals and getting you customers at a profit. You don't want to lose those campaigns when this transition happens. So what I want you to do is to reproduce all of these campaigns as responsive campaigns. You can copy and paste the campaigns and change it to responsive, or you can just rebuild these campaigns. Now, the reason why I recommend doing this right away is that you might be forced into responsive campaigns within a month or 2 months. When that happens, you don't want to lose your most successful campaigns if you have a successful YouTube Ads account and Google Ads account right now. What you want to do is start preparing for this change right now. So unfortunately, you can't clone them exactly, but you can reproduce the campaigns with the exact same targeting, the exact same ad. The only difference is that it'll be responsive. Now, when you clone these campaigns, I want you to use the same ad that you use, the same targeting that you use, and I want you to keep everything the same. The only difference is you want to make sure that there's a good thumbnail image and ad copy in there, and now it'll be showing part of your ads in the video discovery format. Now, with these responsive ads, we're only now just starting to figure this out, and we started this transition a month ago. So if you haven't started yet, I really encourage you to get started now. With the new campaigns, I want you to make them much smaller budget than your original campaigns and a much lower bid. Let's say you usually put in a $100 CPA bid and you usually have a $200 budget for your campaigns. I would get started with a $25 budget and let's say a $50 CPA bid. So low that the campaign probably will get hardly any traffic the first few days. You're going to have to step this up over time, but this will allow you to start very conservatively while you don't know too much about these campaigns and to gradually amp up your responsive ads over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks. My agency lost some of my clients' money and a lot of my own money because we started a little bit too fast, so I recommend starting slow but starting now so that way you can be fully transitioned by the time you're forced to transition. All right, so those are my tips to get started with responsive ads. You now know how to make a responsive campaign and the basics of making these campaigns profitable. This change is happening. We cannot fight it. We can only adapt. Transition to responsive ads now, and a few months from now, you will be thanking me for starting the transition early. Now, if you want to learn more about YouTube advertising, there's so much more to learn besides just making responsive campaigns. There are so many tricks and updates like this that I can show you, which will increase your YouTube profits within a matter of days. And if you stick with this for the long term, it can really make you incredibly wealthy. I've used YouTube ads to go from being broke and not being able to pay my rent to being a multimillionaire and selling my company. Many other people have done the same thing, including thousands of my students, and you can see what some of them are saying about my method on Amazon right here. Now I want to invite you to learn my full YouTube advertising method for free. I just posted my YouTube advertising webinar where I show you my entire YouTube advertising method. In the webinar, I'm going to show you why YouTube ads are the #1 best opportunity for you to make money online right now. Better than Facebook ads, better than Google, better than anything else you could be doing. I'm going to show you why it's the fastest, easiest side hustle, the best way to make a side income, and the most scalable way to eventually make a lot of money. Next, I'm going to show you the 3 biggest mistakes which many people are making with YouTube ads and which you would probably make too if you didn't watch this video. Not making these mistakes will save you a ton of money. And I'm going to show you what to do instead of the mistakes that most people make, so that way you make a profit. After that, I'll walk you through the 3 keys to making a profit with YouTube advertising campaigns. These are the same 3 principles that I use to make over $212 million in sales from YouTube ads, for my own companies and for my clients. I'll show you the 3 keys, and once you know these, you will have a huge advantage over every other advertiser out there. After that, towards the end of the webinar, I'm going to show you my #1 best advanced ninja trick to make more money with YouTube ads. Now, if you're advanced, if you're already running YouTube ad campaigns, you're going to want to make sure to stay until the end of the webinar, because once you learn this trick, I guarantee you're going to love it and you're going to use it to make a pile of money. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to put it together and how to scale your YouTube advertising campaigns fast. I'll show you how I started spending $10 a day on YouTube ads and turned that into $20 a day on sales. Then how I reinvested that $20 and made $50 a day in sales, and reinvested that and made $100, then $1,000, then $10,000, and so on and so forth. It's not a fantasy. Many people have done it, and there's no reason why you can't do it too. You just have to get started, spend a few minutes to educate yourself about how YouTube advertising works. And the best part is, I'm offering you this webinar where you can learn it for free. So click watch now or click the link in the description below to get started on the free webinar. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.